Hello and welcome to another episode of Casting Views, the podcast that takes a topic each week and, as the name suggests, cast views. This week, my co-host is the one, the only, Joey from Two Blokes from Blighty and the Game Club Pod. Hi, Joey.
Hi, Dan. I feel like I've been bumped up in the world because I was really ready to be a guest, but co-host, I feel pretty important right now.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that to you, but I'm trying to nab you now for the next few episodes. Do you know what the funny thing is? By quirk of fate and scheduling and me not necessarily working a correct order out for these episodes, this is going to go out after your dinner party episode.
So people will know that they already hate me. I like it. Good thinking, Dan.
Double dose of Joey.
I'll complain less in this episode than I did in that one, Dan.
The funny thing is we recorded that probably about 6 weeks ago, right?
It was a while ago, but you need to build up that backlog. That's how you survive in the podcast world.
Yeah, so there's going to be 2 weeks of you, so you might as well be my new co-host now.
Watch those numbers tumble.
It's not a lofty perch to fall from, don't worry. How are you, Joey?
Yeah, I'm good. Can I date this episode and say
You
it's
can
Bank
date
Holiday
this.
Monday?
Yeah.
Enjoying it with Dan. Yeah, it's been a lovely weekend. Feeling pretty good. Not looking forward to going back to work tomorrow. But no, good, and looking forward to my first solo casting views with you, of course, just not
Solo
without
views.
Slade or
Yeah,
Tim.
well, I was going to say, what you got visions of taking over now. What's going on?
Well, co-host to host is a very, very low
Hostile
entry,
takeover.
Isn't it?
Yeah. How are your pods going? So I think, at time of recording, your Game Club pod has turned 3, hasn't it?
It has 3 very long years.
3?
3, yeah. Josh made that joke.
Yeah, I had to. Yeah.
So it was good. It doesn't feel like 3 years. A lot has changed since then. I've moved house into a new setup. I've had a child, which is obviously far more important than the setup. We've had breaks. We've introduced 3 new shows on the same feed. Two Blokes from Blighty, Between Two Pods, and Game Changers. And there's the DLC stuff. I think it started off out as a, let's just have a chat with some mates and we'll put it out as a podcast. And we really enjoyed it. And now it's like a second job, as I'm sure you can attest.
Yeah. It does take up the old time. I mean, we were supposed to record this last week, but I was feeling ill, so I had to push this one back. And also, I had one scheduled with Chat Tsunami last week, which fell in that period of illness, so I had to cancel that one. So now I think I worked out in the next 10, 11 days, I've got about 8 or 9 podcasts I'm recording. Now, 2 were guest episodes, but...
That's crazy, Dan. Last week, I was meant to record Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I didn't do any of them.
So people listening, Joey is also, he made the mistake of telling me I could WhatsApp him. And so now his WhatsApp just pings at all time of the day and night. But I've said to you, haven't I keep saying I'm going to take a break. I always say at some point, I'm going to take a break in the next couple of weeks. And I never do.
Yeah.
But I actually do think I am in, June. I think we'll do that.
Nice. Well, I feel like our WhatsApp conversations are either football, podcast, or well-being relating to taking breaks from podcasts. So generally how it goes.
But it's like I said, it's the, especially with yours, because you have 2 different shows, it is 2 different mindsets as well. Although I guess on both you are kind of having a laugh and having a chat. But yeah, they are 2 very different shows, aren't they?
The 2 shows I'm on, so I'm on the mainline Game Club Pod feed, which is once every 2 weeks on a Monday, and I'm on Two Blokes from Blighty, which is every week on a Wednesday. And you are right, they're very different, but I don't think it's difficult because I don't really have to prepare anything for Two Blokes from Blighty. For those of your listeners who don't know, well done for not knowing so far. But Two Blokes from Blighty is nonsensical chat between me and my brother. And it basically is what news articles we've been sent or we've read this week that we think are funny, or what stupid jingles I can come up with to annoy Tim, or hypothetical questions. Like, at time of recording now, we're in between season 5 and 6, but the seasons themselves are a joke because nothing changes between them, and there's never a break. We just introduced it when we thought 10 episodes a season would be funny, so I'd stop singing about cryptocurrency on the podcast. But we've been doing that, and I think there is probably about 70 odd episodes of Two Blokes from Blighty now. So we've been doing that for more than a year. I think we've had 2 weeks off of it in all of that time. And then Game Club Pod, we've never had a break. We've had individual breaks because there's 3 hosts. So we've been doing that fortnightly for 3 years. But I find Game Club Pod harder to manage because you have to complete or get good ways into a video game in that time.
Yeah.
And when you have life and work and family and 2 blokes and Tim to look after, and someone's got to look after him, it's really hard to fit those in sometimes. So I had a break at the start of the year and played loads of stuff that we were playing on the pod because I don't mind telling you and your listeners, Dan, because you'll all keep it a secret. We have our rota of games planned probably until mid next year. So Tim and I, in this time that Slade is off, because he's taken the month of April off, we've recorded 5 episodes. So that puts us 10 weeks ahead of where we were before. But we have gotten to the point in the past where I have yet to record the episode, edit the episode, and release it in the space of a week. And it I don't know, it seems silly when you're talking about playing video games, but there is a sense of pressure there when you've got people that talk to you about your podcast and like talking about your podcast with you, and you're like, oh God, I haven't done anything I was meant to for it. Like, see, I don't know. I think it's important to make sure you're looking after yourself as well.
Yeah, no, I get what you say, because I was thinking, so my podcast takes up a few days a week, let's say that. And bear in mind, that's obviously out of work. So those few days a week, we're talking a few hours a week, really. Then I was thinking, if I had to play a game for that, where does that time come? Because I don't get too much time now to play games. I was going to say socially, but for a hobby. So I'm thinking, if I then had to play a game, and I know we kind of did briefly discuss it in your dinner party episode last week, the games nowadays generally, I know you're kind of making an effort now to pick some of the games that I pick up and play.
Yeah,
I'm doing one where just to watch some TV shows feels like a difficult enough, and I kind of watch TV most of the day. If I'm not podcasting or working, it's TV, right? So to play games,
I get that, but you did also put a picture on your Twitter today. Oh, sorry, your X today. Of was it today of Audacity on one screen and Fallout on the other? It's there are ways to do it, but also for the longer games. So there was a time a while ago, and I think you learn this kind of stuff as you go. We played Persona 5. We played Persona 5. It was long enough for me, I should remember the name. But I think we spoke about this in the dinner episode. That game's like 130 hours long.
Yeah.
And at the time of recording was only on PlayStation, so I had to get a console that I didn't own, a game I didn't own and didn't really want to play, and put 130 hours of it in. And we said at that point, we can't carry on putting in these 100+ hour games. So when it's like Fallout, we did Fallout 3 recently, Slade and I, we decided that we're just going to put a cap on it. And you talk about it, you put like 10 hours in. 10 hours is still quite a lot in that fortnight, but it's much more manageable. I mean, the games that Tim and I are going to talk about over the next 10 weeks, they are, as you said, pick up and play, but we look down the running order a little bit more and put the games that are more story-rich in a little bit later, so you give yourself the time to play and do it properly, because we were finding ourselves, because we score all of our games at the end of the episode, and we were finding that we were going, if I'd had a proper time to play this, I would have given it a better score. And we're like, well, what's the point in scoring it if we're going to do it based on a rushed playthrough for a review? So I think my point is that we're still learning 3 years on down the line how to do it.
It's amazing, isn't it? Because even me, how pompous does that sound?
Podcast guru, Dan.
No, but I was saying, it's like you think 3 years or almost 3 years in that you've done everything, or you've seen everything that you think can go wrong. But the amount of frustrations I've had recently with audio problems and scheduling this or that. Yeah, it's my wife who's saying it to me. You think you'd hit that early on, not have so many things when you're used to it.
Yeah. Well, I think when you're early on, you see the bigger problems. And then as you go later down the line, the smaller problems, because you've experienced the bigger ones, the smaller ones seem much bigger. Although we did have things like Slade does a monthly series called The Anime Corner with Pete and Skylar, two co-hosts on that sideshow. And they did a whole episode that was an hour and a half long, and Pete's audio just didn't record for the whole thing. So there are things that you can fix and things that you can't. And at the end of the day, it's a hobby. It's not a career. If I was making money off of this, that would infuriate me. But we're not, so it doesn't.
Well, if you were making money off it, you'd have people that would make sure you weren't having problems.
Exactly. And that's why I've come to be co-host here, because I'm demanding half of the royalties.
Yeah, I can supply you with some chamomile tea. That's about as much as I can do.
It's more than I'm getting at the moment.
As rich as my budget goes. But it is interesting what you're saying about how you're scheduling the games now, because so I'm now doing with Justin the pilot views episode, and we've done a couple of big hitter series with a lot of episodes, and we've just done Dexter. And the thing is, right, this series was supposed to be, we watch a pilot episode of a show and we discuss that, hence why it's called pilot views. But the thing is, we've chosen shows then that we love, and we've ended up watching all of them and discussing it sort of as part of the wider thing. Now, what we said to ourselves after recording the Dexter one is, I mean, this isn't necessarily going to be every month. I think it's probably going to be every other month, but I won't say what they are, but we've already decided next two. We'll do one that's maybe a shorter, maybe a comedy or a bit more lighthearted, and then look at a heavier, longer running series for the one after that. So we've got time to watch that in the background.
Nice.
Just you've got to be sensible, haven't you? And I think the thing I've also found is when work sort of starts getting busy, obviously you focus less on the podcast, and then what it is about the planning, and then throw that in as well. I've also now sort of started throwing in a lot of random series into mine. So I've got the Mind Wipe, I've got the Dinner Party ones, which I absolutely love, and to be fair, they're the easier ones to do because I don't do any work on it. But then I'm thinking less about the forward planning. So that's what I was saying right back at the start. If I want to take a break, I was thinking, right, like with this episode I'm recording with you and the one with Chat Tsunami this week, that is now going to see me through. And I've got two other, the Mind Wipe and Dinner Party plan. That's going to see me through till the end of June. So I'm thinking, brilliant, I'll take June off. But then I'm thinking to myself, but then I've got to start recording and planning for the episodes. So, I think I've just got to realise that there'll be a month where maybe I don't put anything out, or I might do some like 10-minute things to put out. But I just can't not. I know we say it's a hobby, but I think I'm kind of addicted to doing this now. Well,
I found, and I'll let us get into the episode soon, Dan, but I found that one of the reasons that I really wanted to do podcasting, I think I said this in the Who's Coming to Dinner episode. I found that I really was lacking something creative in my life, really. And Tim and I, as we said, did creative degrees at university. And whilst it's hard to believe that Tim and I attended university, that kind of degree of doing something really creative day in, day out just stopped at the end of it. And I was really feeling like I was lacking that and needing that. And like I said, my wife bought me a USB microphone, and I had this idea of making a podcast with some other mates from my work, but landed with Tim and Slade. And I don't know, there's something really, like you said, really addictive and really dopamine boosting when you send out that episode and you see the views tick up. And that's why I love our Discord. So we have a Game Club Pod Discord, and on a Wednesday, for example, we get the two blokes from Blighty, and conversations come in, and people have questions about the episode and call us idiots and tell us where they laughed in the joke section. And then on Mondays, we either have the Between Two Pods section or the Game Club. And I like, there is 40 or 45 people in that Discord. And there's a few of them that are really active and chatty, and I really like that people are engaging with our content. It's quite fulfilling, really.
It is a great community. And on that, we should also shout out the PodPack Collective, of which we're both members. So I won't list all the names again, but yeah, do check out the PodPack Collective. Great bunch of people, including ourselves. Take us as the yardstick of how great that collective is.
Take Dan as that yardstick.
You are so you're so adorable when you do that, but your podcasts are brilliant. Actually, before we move on, we mentioned it a few times about the dinner party episode. When I messaged you, dinner, when I edited it and listened back, I think I judged you a bit harshly. Tim still would win, but
it's not good enough, then I don't want to hear it.
I think I was a little bit harsh on you.
I don't want to hear it, Dan.
Yeah, Tim still would have won. So if you're listening, Tim, it doesn't change anything. Right?
Do you know what? It was that long ago, and I have that many conversations with Tim. I don't actually remember his full menu, but I do remember complaining about risotto or baked beans stuffed profiteroles.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's funny you say that because, I've created a trailer which will go out. So, well, you'll have already heard that episode, but it's pure soundbite. When I was editing, I thought this is the first time I've actually made a trailer for an episode, and it's all down to you and your risotto stuffed profiteroles.
Me and my misery.
Right. So we are going to have a quick ad from friends of the show. And I've got myself into a right muddle, so I can never remember who I'm supposed to put in here. So I decided literally before we come on that I'm going to put on Justin from the Movie Wire. So he is a top bloke. He's like my co-host for the Pilot Views, and he does all the artwork for my episodes, which for me, they're incredible. I just love those.
I agree.
Let's sit back and hear from Justin now.
In a world with so many movies to choose from, one man has created the go-to podcast for reviews of hot and trending movies, so you know what's worth your time. The Movie Wire Podcast with host Justin Henson. Hear Justin's movie verdict wherever you listen to podcasts. Tune in to The Movie Wire today.
Right, Joey. There is a reason for getting you on, because we're going to do a podcast. Now, it's funny, it links in to what you said a little while ago. I went back, and when I was listening to some of the first batch of episodes, I remember at the time thinking they were really good, but when I went back and hear the audio problems, either the mic or maybe I was a bit stilted. So I looked at them. I've actually archived some off because I'm thinking if anyone stumbles across my feed, I don't want them to listen to those very early ones. But some of the subjects are really good, and you were the first person I turned to get some of these redone. So you're the perfect victim for that.
I'm really nervous.
This first one I'm doing, what we did, there was an episode where we found some unusual gadgets, unusual tech. And what I've done is I've redone that, and I'm going to put them to you. We're going to discuss each one, and then we're going to say, is it good? Is it a problem that needed to have been solved in the first place? And then you're going to give it a rating out of 10. You're going to give it, I don't know, how many blokes out from Blighty up to 10, like 2 blokes from Blighty or 10 blokes from Blighty.
Okay.
And then whether you'd actually have it. So I was saying to you again beforehand that because of the haphazardness of my week last week, some of these are a bit more in depth, some aren't. So, and I've just sent you the links because I want you to see the pictures of some of them. So the first one we're going to talk about is, and I hope I've sent you them in the right order, but if not, it's more fun for you, is the Dyson Zone air purifying headphones.
Yeah.
Now, this was it was initially announced during 2022 and demonstrated in 23. So it's a fairly new product. So if you look at it, the description I found says it looks like it's a COVID mask, but that's not what it does. According to Dyson themselves, development on the Zone began in 2016 as a personal air filter.
Okay.
Sort of for like smoke, etc. outside. And as such, it was never designed to be like a COVID mask or illness. And actually, some critics said during that time, it could actually probably increase your chances of getting it because of that. But that's not what they're for. They are ultimately noise-cancelling headphones, but with an attachable plate to filter the air. So I looked at the Dyson website. You can pick up in the UK a Dyson Zone Absolute for $579.99.
Bargain.
But it's got 8 active noise-cancelling microphones. I'm doing a plug here. I mean, if Dyson want to chuck me some of these.
Could be a sponsor.
8 active noise cancelling microphones that monitor surrounding noise 384,000 times a second to cancel background noise. Runs up to 50 hours on audio only, or up to 4 hours on purification. So you better not be on a long train journey.
Mm-hmm.
And as it says, more importantly, though, it comes with the attachable travel visor to magnetically attach on your daily commute or when traveling to channel purified air directly to your nose and mouth. And a built-in accelerometer adjusts airflow for changes in your activity level. So have you got the picture up?
I do, with the picture of the guy who... It's not the coolest looking thing in the world, is it? So it looks like a pair of over-the-head headphones with a band that goes around your nose and mouth. But the band is also reflective. So this is one of the gripes I have with this. If you're sat there on a train, for example, and you're on your phone and you're texting someone, everyone that's facing you will be able to read your text because it was reflected in your visor.
Yes, yes.
But I have to say, Dan, when you first sent this to me, I thought, that looks like a really stupid gimmick that would never take off. But then I thought, well, I'm quite privileged to live somewhere that doesn't have obscene air pollution. So if I was in, I don't know, a major city in China or London, for example, I think it might be worth investing in something like this because, I don't know, I've never felt it the way that people that live in London say when they leave London, the air feels lighter.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe, I mean, the price, I should have told you before you organised this episode, I'm a bit of a skinflint. So the price would put me off. But I do think that there's a bit of a market for something like this. And the fact that it's Dyson as well would make me trust them a little bit more, that it's like there's a good reason for this. This isn't just someone in a garage going, oh, how can we make everyone look like they're in Star Wars?
It's not like a pair of £10 headphones with like a surgical mask sort of hanging between it. This is well made.
Yeah, and I've never seen anything like a personal version of an air purifier. So I think I'm a fan of it, Dan.
Okay. How many blokes from Blighty?
See, if it wasn't reflective, we'd be going 7 blokes from Blighty. But as it is reflected, I'm bumping it down to a 6. But I think it's very cool that the purifying filter is magnetic and you can just pop it off.
I think if it's this, or I'm not confusing it with something else, I think you can flip it down. So if you're getting a phone call or something, or you need to speak to somebody, I think it can stay attached and you just flip it down.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Whilst being a skinflint, I'm also a sucker for little quirks of technology like that, where someone's obviously gone, yeah, this is pretty cool, but it needs to be practical as well.
Do you know what? My thought process was almost identical, actually pretty much was identical to yours, in the sense of when I first saw it, I thought, oh, really? Do we need that? But then, like you said, you're thinking about more and more how some city centres are. And even where I live, there's a retail park fairly nearby. I wanted to walk there once. And so I walked there and walked back. And it's all along main road.
Yeah.
Literally, I'm not talking, it's not like a motorway, but it's a main road into and out of the town. And you just got all the cars and you can smell the fumes.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, yeah, do you know what? It would make certain activity, if you're going to have to keep doing that journey, if you had to do that every day, maybe it might be worth investing in that.
You would look like a tit while you did it, but at least your air would be lovely and purified.
This is the thing. Do we think at the moment the issue is that wearable tech has been a thing for years, but generally on the wrist?
But then there's the Apple Vision. Have you seen the videos of people with Apple Vision? Like, the technology is so cool, but I'd never use it because you just look so stupid.
It's not, what's the word? It's not prevalent enough for it to have achieved. Well, I mean, especially over here, don't see anyone, especially where I live. But yeah, if you ordered one today and you did that, I guarantee I'm going to be the only person in this county, I think, that's probably going to wear anything.
Well, the only person in that county that either owns it or is willing to wear it in public.
But I agree with you. I think if you get past the how silly you look and the fact it's shiny, it's almost like it's part motorcycle helmet without the visor almost, isn't it?
Yeah, bang on.
But when you read it, absolutely echo what you said, that it being Dyson, it is gonna be quite a cool, quite a stylish bit of kit in the sense of how it's made and well made.
Mm.
You know the headphones are going to be good. You know the purifier is going to be good. It's just something very new, isn't it? So
yeah. 6 blokes out of Blighty. What would you rate it? How many views out of 10 would you cast on it?
Many views. I think I was giving it 7 views as well.
Okay, cool.
I think it's just the fashion sense side. I guess you should take out the equation, right?
Yeah.
As cool as it is, I wouldn't be spending that money on it.
Yes, I
that's
agree.
The thing.
I agree.
This one I haven't sent you a picture for.
Okay.
And we had a similar one in the original episode. It's a smart toothbrush. It's $149.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Bluetooth connected toothbrush for adults and children that aims to do more than simply brush your teeth. Comes equipped with an accelerometer and a gyroscope and a 3D motion sensor so it can detect exactly where you brush. A companion app provides a decent way to track your oral hygiene, and built-in games can help kids distract themselves while brushing. So I said the price, a single brush, power cable and charger and 2 brush heads come in at $149. The app at the time, I think it was from a few years ago, the app is fairly basic. The main screen has your profile picture, dental advice, and a daily calendar that shows you when and for how long you've brushed.
Okay.
And here we're getting into the gamification, right? The more you brush, the more points you gain. So I can see how some people probably won't have any gums left the way they're quite addicted, you know. The more points you gain, the more you level up and gain titles like Vigilant when you've brushed more than 10 times, or Ambitious more than 20 times.
Mm-hmm.
And on the bottom of the screen are icons you can tap to check up on your brushing data, etc. This thing, without swaying your opinion, I think is cool. The brush knows exactly where you brush, and when you start a brushing session in the app, a 2D graphic highlights where you should focus and for how long. And a glowing indicator on the brush itself lets you know whether you've successfully or unsuccessfully brushed in the right area. Yeah, the smart toothbrush.
So I think that sounds very cool. I think it sounds probably quite useful. It sounds a little bit Black Mirror to me. Like, I think Colgate scanning the inside of your mouth is is an episode of Black Mirror. I think I don't know if you ever watched The Apprentice, Dan. They did a whole episode on kids' app that's connected to a toothbrush. So it must have taken off a little bit in the last few years. But I think this is a really good one, and I think, like, if you say $150 for a toothbrush, I'm sure that's less now, but electric toothbrushes are very expensive anyway. So you're probably only talking a small premium on what you're paying anyway for a decent brush. I don't think this one needs that much conversation. I'm going to go up with a 8 blokes out of Blighty.
Ooh, many blokes.
All of the blokes.
I'm kind of with you. I think for kids, I get the appeal of it. But for me, for adults, you know to brush your teeth and you should be brushing your teeth. And we should all get to a point where we know how we should be brushing our teeth. So for adults, I don't think it's solving an issue or it's serving a purpose. But I kind of get how for kids, it would be quite an interesting thing.
I think it's I'm all for competitive brushing of teeth. Yeah. I want the high score. I do think it's good though, because I think when I go to the dentist, he's like, "Oh yeah, you're fine," but maybe focus on, like, I don't know, top of the gums, right up to the gums, or something like that. So, and you get those horrible little red things that you're meant to do between your teeth.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think when you're in the lead up to something like, or you think, oh, I've got the dentist next week, you do think back and you remember what they said, but because you see them like every 6 months, it's a long time for your brain to think, oh yeah, they said focus on this, and this. So if it's saying, oh, well, maybe you need to focus on this area of your mouth, I think it's probably quite a good reminder still, because like you said, it's habitual brushing your teeth because we do it twice a day. And I think that I don't know, I'm trying to say all this without saying like I don't brush my teeth, trying to make sure that like it's done as well as it could be. I don't see a problem
I
with
guess so. We don't know sometimes how we've done it, because if you've got something on your mind or you're thinking, maybe you haven't spent the
it.
30 seconds or whatever, because I think electric toothbrushes often have those set things where they vibrate after a certain time. The Black Mirror thing, you've thrown me for a loop for that, because what if it is analysing your saliva and sending that? No,
Mark
that's
Zuckerberg knows what you had for dinner.
zero blokes. I like the idea of it, but I still think for kids, I'll allow it. But for me, yeah.
We used to have, and this isn't tech, so I won't spend ages on it. When we were growing up, my mum and dad used to buy us these little tablets for when you brush your teeth. And we wouldn't do it all the time because they cost a bloody fortune. But you do it and you chew, and it would dye the inside of your mouth purple.
Yes. Yeah.
And you knew you'd brushed your teeth properly because all of the purple had gone. So
yeah,
I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's a good way of demonstrating where you do and don't brush properly. I'm a fan.
As long as it doesn't have a leaderboard, because can you remember in the Discord? Dan hasn't brushed his teeth today. Oh my word!
I think I'd be all for that.
Yeah, hygiene shaming in the Discord. No,
I like it.
Okay, all right, right. In a similar vein to that, we've got something called. You haven't got a link for this one actually, but I might send it to you. But it was a Kickstarter. It's called the Happy Fork.
Okay.
So the Happy Fork is. So the way it markets itself is, do you have trouble eating too fast, have problems pacing yourself? This is where the Happy Fork comes in handy. So ultimately, I think at the time of funding, it was $99. And it's a fork that vibrates when you're eating too quickly. Happy Fork allows you to simply and quickly monitor and reduce the speed at which you eat your meals. Slowing down and paying attention are important steps towards a goal of creating and maintaining healthier eating habits. When we eat by ourselves, we might also be watching TV, working or doing other things. When we eat with friends, we're relaxed and want to have a nice time. Whatever you do, if you're using Happy Forks, it will remind you to slow down. So it also, I found this out from the Kickstarter site, it measures the following activities during your meals. So the number of fork servings taken per minute per meal, the specific duration of each fork serving interval, your overall meal duration, and the exact time at which you start and end your meal. Now, these are optional ones here. You can upload your information via Bluetooth on your mobile or using USB cable when you connect your Happy Fork to the computer. You can view your information on an online dashboard, and you could choose whether or not to share information with family, friends, trainers, or nutritionists.
As a species, I think if you need a fork to tell you how quickly to eat, you should be dead. It's I know it's a similar vein to the toothbrush, but come on, like if your fork's vibrating and saying, "Look, calm down, mate," it's good, but it's not that good. I think you might need to evaluate your eating habits.
This is it again with me. I think if you've got an issue with it, then you probably know you have, because you're not just you're eating every meal quickly. I think this, like they said, it's funny they give you the examples of watching TV or listening to the radio. Those are going to be one-offs, you would think.
Yeah, I mean, I know that me, Tim, and our older brother, who I don't know if we've ever named, but here's an exclusive for you, Dan. Mine and Tim's older brother, James. All of our girlfriends say we eat quickly, and I distinctly remember having this conversation with James's wife, and she was like, "Oh, why do you all eat so quickly?" And James said, "We're brothers. If you didn't eat quickly, you didn't eat at all."
Yeah.
But as you get older, I think your body naturally tells you if you're eating too quickly. You get heartburn if you're eating too quickly.
Yeah,
so
you do.
Instead of spending £100 on a fork, just think, if I eat this quickly, am I going to have heartburn later? And I think you've saved yourself £100. Who's going to steal my food off this plate? Just relax and enjoy it.
This was one that filters in that I wouldn't have it, mainly because, I mean, look, at its heart, it's trying to do a good thing because, we should slow down, we should chew more. But ultimately, do I need $150 $100 fork to tell me that. It's not analysing the food I'm eating. It's not saying, no, do you really want that other, that other sausage?
Yeah, and it looks silly as well. I think it looks like a piece of medical equipment.
And also, I love my food. And I'm a quick eater as well, and I didn't have brothers.
Okay.
It's just because I love my food, and anything that's going to spoil food for me, I'm not going to be buying it.
Well, there's a bit of a thing that, like, I think probably linking back to the toothbrush as well, everything we seem to do in life at the moment needs to be monitored. Like, I've never quite understood why people sleep with Apple Watches, because my friend has one, and I said, oh, why do you sleep with it on? Why don't you charge it at night? And he goes, because it tracks my sleep. I was like, why do you need your sleep tracking? Oh, I need to know how long I was in a deep sleep for. Well, why? It's one of those things that I feel like, I know this whole episode is on tech, but I think people are so overly reliant on having every piece of data about themselves that it just makes things not enjoyable.
It's just what we're becoming, though, right?
Black Mirror.
Yeah, we want to know everything. Oh, look, I did that many steps today. My heart rate was that. Look how fast my heart rate was. It's faster than yours.
Although I have to say, the heart rate monitors, my favourite thing that people use them for is I really like watching people on Twitch who play horror games with a heart rate monitor.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
It's a really, really, like, a guilty pleasure of mine. I really like it when it just, like, spikes when it gets to a scary bit. It just is.
Oh, mate, if he wants to pay me £600 or however much an Apple Watch is, I can give him. Here's the advice: did you wake up tired or not? If you wake up, if you're not tired, you probably slept well.
Yeah, if you woke up tired, you've not had enough sleep. Say no more.
Yeah, and like you said, I know this shouldn't be the be all and end all for it, but it does look like a baby's learning utensil.
Yes,
and apologies to the company. I mean, look, there is some impressive tech in there, and I'm sure if they're linking it to like nutrition pages and workouts, etc., there's something there. But inherently, at its core, we're looking at the fork, and if it's just telling me that I'm eating too fast, then
look, 1,268 people gave them $134,000 to make Happy Thought work. So it's got to be good for some people.
Yeah,
it's just not for us, I think, Dan.
No,
I think two blokes out of Blighty.
Yeah, I'm probably with you on that one.
Okay,
right,
cool.
So moving on again, you won't have a link for this one. It was shown as a concept, but didn't actually get released. So I'm going to talk about the concept of it because I want your views on this. So it was called Blighty.
Okay.
And it's a self-adjusting smart belt. So what it is, or what it was wirelessly connecting to a smartphone app that tracks things like waist size. Blighty was designed to tighten up or expand on the fly, depending on how much you were eating at any given time.
Wow.
Blighty's prototype was made of metal and plastic, giving it a flashy yet industrial feel. It turned heads but didn't open wallets, and it was being unveiled or being conceptualized at the 2015 CES, so this is how old it was. It was saying there was neither a price nor launch date. More than a year and a half later, the company's revealed a more conventional looking leather model, but no details on how to buy one. Now, I can actually find this self-adjusting belt, so I don't know if it has or hasn't, but we're in a world where there is one. So imagine you've got up, you've got dressed, you're out for the day.
Yeah.
You sit down, you're having a huge pizza for lunch, and your belt you recognises that and slowly relaxes a little.
My belt's exploded again.
And then you're going on a run or something. You've only drunk water all day, and it's tightened up a little bit. So, what do you think about the self-adjusting smart belt?
What did people do before the self-adjusting smart belt? Is my question. That is wild. Like, I like to think that someone sat down on Christmas Day and they went, my belt just fits so well. I'm really looking forward to wearing it at Christmas dinner. Oh, I've had this big Christmas dinner and now my belt is slightly too tight. What should I do? And rather than going, I'll move it to the next notch, they went, I'll spend thousands of dollars making a smart belt. I think there are other belts that I think that's quite a good idea. Like, there's one that I saw that has a ridged line down the middle of it. so that you're not limited to these notches, however many centimetres apart.
Yeah.
I think that's a really clever idea, and exactly what Belty is trying to solve without it being a smart belt.
I mean, do our stomachs really, or our waistlines really expand and contract that much in a day?
I don't know. I mean, I can only judge it, like, for example, I have a 2-year-old son, and you can tell how much he's eaten during the day because his stomach looks massive, or not. So, I don't know. I guess you can.
It's not a problem that needs to be solved, is it?
No, but once again, what did people do before 2015 and they had non-smart belts? Well, they adjusted them to fit.
Yeah, you might not want to do it at the table. You might want to sort of move. Maybe that's what it's addressing. Sort of, you can do it without having to get up and leave the table.
Can you imagine? You've had this big meal. You sat opposite a friend or a date or whoever, your mum, whatever, and you've had this big meal, and you go to stand up, and everything's a little bit quiet, and you just hear a. And they go, "What was that?" "Oh, it's my smart belt." I can guarantee you're not getting a second date.
Well, can you imagine if it just keeps on constricting?
Yeah.
What if it goes wrong? What if it then goes all the other way and then your trousers fall down? I mean,
so we've gone from Black Mirror to 2001, where Hal kills you via your smart belt.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's that word "smart" in everything, isn't it?
It's like calling something an eye belt.
Yeah. So, Belty's not gonna have a place in your wardrobe. No, a zero. Well, okay, all right. Let's move on swiftly. This one, I have sent you the link. Again, this was a concept, so I'm not. Let's not think of it as something that's gone to market. I'm selling you the concept. Okay. It's a Denso vacuum shoes.
Okay.
The shoe is a concept product that emerged from an internal company contest that was held every other year. Starting in 1991, the company let employees pitch new ideas to foster their creative and innovative design concept and chose 12 finalists to present in Japan. One of the final projects was the Ecology shoe, which has a small vacuum inside its very large outer sole. At the heel is a small pedal which is connected to gears. Every step you take powers a vacuum motor, allowing it to suck up small pieces of debris at a time. All the dirt resides in a small dust box no bigger than a Tic Tac box, and it's also inside the sole and can be emptied out. So, as a concept, what do you think about the vacuum shoes?
I hate the concept of vacuum shoes. I think if they didn't look like you were stood on platform shoes, I think it would be better. The shoes themselves, they're fine. But the sole on them is probably 4 inches thick. I guess the thing is, I think there's probably an idea in there. You're walking anyway. If there's dust about, you can get rid of the dust. But vacuums are quite loud. Can you imagine if it was going off every single step that you had?
You couldn't sneak home after a night out, could you?
No, you couldn't. I mean, they look like they'd be really heavy as well. So you'd have gadunk, gadunk. It's like I said, I think there's an idea there, but it's not one for me.
I mean,
although I'd be 6 foot in them, which would be good.
Yeah, they are big, and they kind of like bowling shoes look better, don't they?
They do. They do. Dan, I'll have to tell you one time about how when I was a student and I mistakenly took home some bowling shoes from a bowling alley that I still own to this day.
There you go. Look at that. That's the next episode. Do you know, the only time I could find these useful would be, so you're sitting there and you're eating your biscuits too quickly or your cake because you haven't got a happy fork. Yeah. So you're shoveling the cake and you drop a little bit. Sometimes, instead of having to dash to get the vacuum cleaner and come out, imagine if you just got some shoes on, you could just reach out, step down, suck up that bit of cake.
So I disagree because I might be weird here, Dan. I actually quite like vacuuming.
Oh no, I love the vacuuming. But you've got to run out, it depends where it is. So, if you've got to run to the cupboard, go get it, unplug it. Hopefully you've got some charge in it. You've not forgotten to put it in.
We have a Henry, so he's always plugged in. Not always plugged in, but he is. If he's on, he's plugged in.
Good old Henry.
But we have, like I said, we have a toddler. So I don't get panicked about
So your
crumbs on the floor.
vacuum's always out.
Basically, yeah. It's sometimes twice a day. But it's it's not a problem that I think I
No.
would need solving.
Fun concept.
Like I said, I think there's an idea. I just don't think it's a fully fleshed out idea. I think it's the opposite of what I said about the Dyson, where someone said, "Oh, there's this thing, and it needs to be practical too." I think they've forgotten the "it needs to be practical too" part. 4 blokes from Blighty.
4?
4.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm avoiding saying 3 so you don't make the joke.
Oh no! Do it for Josh. Do it for Josh.
All right, so it's 3 blokes out of Blighty.
3?
3.
There you go, Josh.
There you go.
Right, the next one, you've got the link, and steady on when I say it, but it's called the Bone Phone.
I got in trouble for using this when I was growing up.
now, it isn't a phone, so let's get that clear if you're listening. And I think when the episode goes out, I will put some links. It's a spandex-covered radio speaker that's worn around the neck like a scarf. The idea was to get sound to resonate through the wearer's bones, simulating the feeling of listening to a high-end audio system while on the go. This is old, right? So the one you're looking at the moment is old. So it was released in 1979, priced at $70, and it was marketed to joggers as a less bulky alternative to headphones, although if you've seen the picture, right? Yeah. The company behind the Bone Phone claimed to have sold 10,000 units by 1981. Now, this is the other link. In 2019, Sony introduced a similar, though much less rugged product, the snappily titled SRS WS1 wearable neck speaker.
Yeah.
Although I was looking around, it only got 2 out of 5 stars from Tech Radar and 3.5 from PC Mag. So I don't know if you can see that one. But to listeners, if you can imagine, it's basically almost like a very elongated horseshoe, isn't it? That you kind of put on the chest.
It looks a little bit like an airline pillow, but it's
yeah, there you go.
Well, the Sony one looks a bit more like an airline pillow. The one the original Bone Phone, it looks like 2 bricks in a pair of tights draped over someone's shoulders. Yeah. It doesn't look good. It looks very clunky. But I will say, I've used a pair of headphones like this, so not quite the wearable speakers, but have you ever seen the headphones that sit in your ears, but they don't have anything in your ears? It's like a metal, or it's a disc that sits by your temples, and it does it through vibrations on there, and it sounded brilliant. It sounded absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the science behind it, I get. I've had so few years, I've had some issues with like sinuses and hearing. And I was going for a regular checkup. And as part of the hearing test, you have the classic, they put headphones over and they play sort of beeps at different frequencies and you have to click a button. But then they would put this headphone that went behind the ear, right on that bone behind the ear, because it then bypasses the inner workings of the ear.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that you can then hear it through. So the science I get, but just this I don't get. I think it's supposed to be worn like under clothing. So if you were going jogging or something, it's held
way
down.
Too big for that. Way too big for it. I think, once again, I think it's a really good idea, but I think the original is definitely a poor execution. I feel like Sony's their one, looks more like it's for around the house. And on the article you sent me, the final verdict, the second sentence is, we came away confused at who the target audience is. And I think that sums it up. Like, who wants this? It doesn't look good. I mean, it probably sounds fine. I don't know who would want it. I think this is an invention for invention's sake. Yeah,
I agree. The look of it, I'm not necessarily too fussed with, because if you're just wearing it around the house, say, it's fine. The old one, I think, like I said, was supposedly you could wear it under clothing, if I remember right, which, as you said, you're going to look like you're built, right?
Which we both are.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, again, I don't know why you would have these over a smart speaker in your house or headphones, like earbuds. I don't know.
The other thing I was thinking, if it's designed for joggers, when you're running, are they not going to like bounce off of the bones that they're meant to be vibrating on? So you'll only get half of the sound anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, again, I think you said it. I don't. It doesn't feel like it's overly addressing something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
If you're listening and you disagree, let us know why. I mean, maybe I'm missing something, but yeah, I can see in 1979 how it'd be quite a fancy gadget, like something slight. I want to say futuristic, but it's something out the box. But now, when we have got speakers in everything, right?
Also,
what is that doing?
Looking at the Sony one, there's no Bluetooth on it.
Isn't there?
So I don't really know how it works.
Didn't even spot that. So.
Yeah, in the cons,
no
Bluetooth
or microphone. Yeah.
Yeah, don't really get it.
Okay, so how many blokes?
2 blokes from Blighty.
2 blokes from Blighty.
It's saved a little bit because I think the technology is very cool and a nice way of interacting with the human body. Its downfall is that it's absolutely useless.
Okay. Right.
How about you, Dan? What would you rate that?
Yeah, I think 2. I mean, I do love like music, so another way of hearing music would be quite good. And I'd probably feel more at ease, maybe. Would I feel more at ease wearing that than the Dyson Purifier thing? Yeah, I think you would.
What if you wore them together?
Then you'd be the coolest person. I don't know if you could. Maybe would they not interfere? I don't know.
But as someone who likes music, and I know that you like collecting records, from my very limited knowledge of record collecting, one of the pros of it is that it sounds better than any other method of playing music, is what I've heard.
Yeah.
So are you not losing all of the benefit of having that wonderful record sound by playing it via vibrations on your body?
Yeah, I guess it depends on how good that is. Yeah, not for me.
Yeah.
Not for me. I should have thought of something funny to say rhyme with bone phone.
Yeah, well, if you lay down, it'd be a prone bone phone.
There you go. Right, swiftly moving on. Right.
And if you have a specific area you use it, where you lie down, it'd be the prone bone phone zone.
There you go. There you go. I need you on every week, so maybe you could just sit on some of my pods, and if I need a line, I can just. Yeah.
I'll be a writer.
Yeah. Right. The next one, Hush Me, and that's not an order. That's the next product. So yeah, the Hush Me. We've said about smart products. The write-up I found have actually called this a dumb product. It's designed to make its user be muted to other people in the immediate vicinity. It was pitched as being useful in workplaces. So it's also been called the world's first voice mask for mobile phones and is a personal acoustic device that protects speech privacy in open space environments. So basically, you insert the attached Bluetooth earbuds, close the device around your face and start talking, and a built-in microphone makes Hush Me entirely hands-free. So yeah, imagine, in a way, it kind of reminds me of the Dyson AirZone, but you've got this big band around your mouth, haven't you? And to all intents and purposes, your conversation then can't be heard.
Yeah.
So it says here it's geared at office workers, but there's no stopping owners from donning the device in public, on a train, or in a restaurant, although that's going to stop you from eating. Anywhere you may want to carry on a private discussion among nosy neighbours. And let me just say this before you cast a comment. Comes in 2 types, which I found. The Hush Me Classic was the one I found the price for was $229.
I'm laughing because I've just found the Hush Me Classic, and I think it looks like a ball gag. It's so ugly.
Have you seen that? Yeah.
I've just found it. I think that the Hush Me Air, which is the other product, it's not for me, but it looks quite cool. But the Hush Me Classic really does look like a ball gag.
Now, what I should say about the Hush Me Air is that one does do some air purifying as well, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it does do some filtration. So it's almost it's similar to an N95 mask. Now, I don't know where it is on the site. I did want to point you to a are you on the link I sent you for the Air? If you scroll down to the bottom, can you see the table?
Yeah.
So you can see the Hush Me Air against an N95 mask and a surgical mask and a respirator. The thing that cracks me up about this, right, is it lists things like speech privacy, wireless connection, loudspeaker mode, But it's comparing itself to like a surgical mask and an N95 mask and like a respirator. So it's comparing all these technological things to like a bit of fabric with like strappy, clingy things.
Dan, can I ask a question? If you're at work and you need to have a private conversation,
Yeah.
what do you do currently?
I go to a meeting room or I go outside.
And does that cost you $300?
No, it just cost me a few minutes of my time. Yeah.
However, in favour of the Hush Me Air, does your meeting room or your outside have RGB lighting?
No.
Well, then I know which one's going to win here. I don't see what this solves. I think if you are that busy that you can't leave your desk to have a private conversation, get a different job, man. It's not worth it.
You see, I wonder, but this should be more at employers. I wonder if it's like, imagine if you've got a busy office, maybe if everybody wore that, then there'd be less background noise. But the cost of that?
Let's say you walk in, you get a new job, and you walk into the office, and there are 30 people all wearing these things on their faces. If that's me, I'm turning around and I'm leaving. I'm asking for my old job back.
Yeah.
I think it's really dystopian. It's very strange.
Oh, it really is. So again, just for people, yeah, the Hush Me Classic, as Joey said, is kind of, it does look like that ball gag, doesn't it? It's like a thing that's bolted onto the front of your mouth.
Yeah.
The Hush Me Air is more like what you would almost look like a futuristic gas mask of sort, isn't it? Like an N95 respirator
Well,
mask.
it looks a bit like, I've seen people when they are training and doing really fast running and they get oxygen masks.
Yeah,
it looks a bit like an oxygen mask.
Yeah. Sorry, for me though, when I found that chart, that's creased me up. How dare the surgical mask not have wireless connection or a loudspeaker mode?
N95 isn't airtight. What?
Yeah. So, and the other thing is, so it's for people if they want to have a private conversation. Well, if I see someone wearing that on a train, I know that they're having a private conversation. Now, is it not a target? Does it make you a target?
I don't know. I mean, if I saw someone with the Hush Me Classic on the train, I think I'd just move away from them. They very much look like they're into some stuff I don't want to get involved with on the train. I do think the Air looks much better, but I would assume that they have breathing difficulties rather than want to have a conversation. I do think the fact that it has loudspeaker mode is quite funny. So rather than taking it off to have a conversation, you can just have like a Darth Vader style voice coming out of your speaker.
So that's where it has one over the Dyson then.
Exactly. And it covers your nose as well.
Yeah.
Which the Dyson looks like it does sort of, but not properly.
So do you want to mute yourself with the Hush Me?
No, one bloke from Blighty for me. How about you?
I think, like you said, I think the Hush Me Air does have a bit of I'm going to say it does look fairly cool.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the lighting around it and the Darth Vader pranks just would be great. So that's probably what elevates it to maybe a 2 or 3 for me.
Okay.
Yeah, like you said, just if you don't want me to hear your conversation, go outside.
Yeah, don't have the conversation there.
Right. Okay. I'm just aware of the time. So I've got 3 more and we'll kind of blitz through these. But this one I do want to go into. This one, I do like this one. So it is the selfie toaster. I love this one. So the article I found, these are still for sale and I'll go on for that. But this was from around 2016. So again, let's talk more about the concept. It was sold for $70.
Mm-hmm.
And as the name suggests, the toaster can print your face on toasted bread. It was manufactured by a company called Burnt Impressions, which I love. You had to mail them a photo of your choosing. Then sometime later, you would receive plasma cut metal stencils, and some other stencils were included in the toaster, like probably like I love you or you're cool, things like that. You then pop these stencils into the toaster, pop your bread into them, and then voila, out pops a bit of toast with your selfie. Now, what I would say, you can see the pictures. The selfies are actually quite good, but they're done by burning. So you're ultimately getting a bit of toast with different degrees of burntness, aren't you?
Yeah, I didn't think the selfies were that good.
I thought they were okay.
So we used to have a thing. Growing up, we did this thing called NAF present at Christmas. And it was like you had a £5 limit and you had to buy the worst Christmas present. And one of the things that was submitted one year was called the Holy Toast. And it was a stamp in the shape of a slice of bread of Jesus. And you push it into your bread while it's uncooked, and you put it in the toaster. And obviously, the stuff that hasn't been stamped would cook quicker than the stuff that had been stamped. So when it popped out, you'd have the imprint of Jesus on your toast.
Yeah.
And it was really clean lines, and it looked really distinguishable. You could see exactly what it was. I have a picture from the video of the article that you sent of the man next to his own toast. And I actually thought he'd sent them a picture of Drake rather than a picture of himself.
To be fair, that one, did I not send you the other one from a news outlet? We won't give any.
Yes, you have. I've only seen the first one.
Do that one, actually. And then if you scroll to the bottom, you can see a pile of them. And some of those actually do look quite good.
Okay, well, the newspaper outlet that we won't mention is taking a little while to load and wants me to allow ads. So I can see some of them. I don't think they're brilliant. I think that this invention, it isn't anything to do with a toaster. It's to do with a template to allow you to burn your toast in ways.
Basically, that's what it is. I don't think you'd be advised to eat the toast you made. Like, for example, there's a picture here I'm looking at. It's a woman. She's clearly got sunglasses on. So imagine the sunglasses. They're just two round bits of burnt on there.
Sounds delicious. Like, really delicious.
Now,
I don't I don't get it.
Yeah, all I was going to say is I couldn't see those for sale, but I did see on Amazon.com there were stencil toasters that were set. So there was a Bob Ross one and a Darth Vader one, so you could buy a toaster for those. It would be a great Secret Santa gift if it cost like £10 or $10.
Yeah,
but they cost like $40 or $50, even those single ones like the Bob Ross. So yeah.
Well, I'm sending you now. This is what the Holy Toast used to send out to us. Used to pop out with that image of Jesus.
Yeah, okay.
It's pretty good.
Okay. That's pretty good.
So yeah, I think I get that it's a bit of a novelty joke gift, but $70 on toast that you're never going to want to eat anyway.
Yeah,
that's a weird thing. I think 2 blokes out of Blighty for me.
Yeah, is it a bit weird eating yourself as well?
I refuse to eat anything that doesn't have the imprint of my face on. Like, have you seen you can get the thing that prints onto Guinness foam?
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think it's too dissimilar to that, but
I've got one like that for my Guinness, which has got your face as well. Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
I saw one with I'm not going to keep on football, but I saw one with the Birmingham City logo, and someone commented, "Oh, it goes down very well." That does.
Although this won't be as topical when this episode goes out, but yeah, if you were listening to this 6 weeks ago, it'd be a spot on joke. Again, be fun if it didn't cost so much.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a joke present. Should be £5, £10.
Okay, and do you know what the last one probably I'll say is the Pavlok? I think I sent you.
You did.
A link for that. Yep. So the Pavlok is. So basically, the sales pitch for this one says many wearable devices have features to improve our habits. The Apple Watch reminds users to stand up once an hour. Fitbit shows how far you've walked each day. Pavlok subscribes to a different type of motivation, pain. Basically, it's a wearable device that uses electrical stimulus to help you start good habits and stop bad ones. So basically, it's a shock when you're doing something
for humans.
Yeah, around the wrist. But there is for me a big flaw in it, and I'll come on to it. So they have got different devices. So there is something called the Shock Clock, which is £123. I think it's on sale. So it's a silent alarm, perfect for deep sleepers or couples with different wake times. So you set it, and basically an electrical snap wakes you up instead of an alarm.
Okay.
Now, the way the Pavlok works, So it says it works by associating the habit you want to change or improve with a slightly uncomfortable electric impulse. But what it is, though, is ultimately you're doing it yourself. It's a manual. Oh, I've got it here. Some habits are self-jolt. So smoking, nail biting, going to the gym, where you will manually press a button on your wristband. Other habits can be set with our app, like waking up on time or staying off time-wasting websites. So it relies on you to push a button
yourself
when you're doing the habit, which for a lot of people might be subconscious, not conscious of doing it, like nail biting. So I'm paying. So I've seen the Pavlok 3 is £251.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm paying that for me to push a button to shock myself.
So when I was reading this, I saw the example of nail biting. Now I bite my nails. It's a terrible habit. I do it more when I'm nervous about something, but it's something I really hate doing and wish I didn't do. And when I saw this, I thought, oh, that actually sounds like quite a good idea. But if I'm doing something that makes me nervous and I think, I'm going to bite my nails, I'm not going to go, oh, hold on, I need to make myself feel bad for that. And if I did you ever take apart an electric lighter when you were little and use the little clicker to shock people?
No.
Maybe that's an indication that I grew up in Birmingham, but that's something we used to do, and it would be exactly the same thing, like a short, sharp spark. So why would I not just spend £1 on a lighter and do it rather than 250? I think it's a great idea, but I don't get the self-shock. You've ruined it for me, Dan. I was well on board with Pavlok, but now I'm not.
Casting views were full transparency. Yeah, that was the thing. So, and the waking up one, I get it, it's saying it's silent, but when you get up, you're probably going to wake your partner up anyway when you wake up or when you're screaming.
Yeah. Can you imagine wearing it alongside your Apple Watch and it says deep sleep to wide awake in a split second and you're like, oh, I wonder why that is.
Yeah, and the thing is, right, can you imagine it on the Belty or the Happy Fork? That would probably work that would actually be where you want it, because if you've already done the action, you're then pushing the button, so it's too late. I mean, if you were like a nail biter, maybe you should just put some like sweet potato on your finger.
As we discussed.
That's a callback to the last episode.
My dad is a nail biter as well, and my grandma used to put vinegar on his nails so that he wouldn't chew them. And it turned out my dad loved the taste of just vinegar on its own, and he just used to go through it like no tomorrow.
What's your view on this?
Great idea. I think really good idea if you're willing to wear a human shock collar and you want to break a habit. I'm sure it would work really quickly. The fact that you have to do it yourself, 3 blokes out of Blighty for me.
And just to be clear, I just want to make sure you're wearing it on your wrist. You're not putting it around your neck.
Depends on how much I want to break the habit.
Well, yeah. That's the thing. If they could do something clever with how it alerted, then I think it's a good idea. But yeah, the cost of it for me, makes it. Wouldn't have it.
It's quite barbaric, isn't it? Really.
Look, I'm going to guess it's just a little. I don't think it's going to be. You're not going to look like, was it the guy in Home Alone when he gets electrocuted?
One of those classic films where you can see the skeleton when they get electrocuted.
Yeah, but then that's almost then. Yeah, like you said, you might as well just have someone like hit you on the wrist with a ruler or something.
Well, it looks like you need to open the app and push the button to get the shock.
As you've got to get your phone out as well.
Yeah. What if the habit you're trying to break is being on your phone too much?
There you go. That's that'll then destroy the world, right? Won't it? Or sorry, isn't it?
Divide by 0, everything will go.
It's going to destroy the space-time continuum.
Yeah.
Right,
no, I'm not a fan. Sorry, no. Dan, do you have a score for the Pavlok?
No, you see, it really should be you. I don't like you forcing me to do it. But yeah, I'm going to give a 3 for the idea. The shot clock, and I like the name of it. I think that's cool. But yeah, the actual original thing, I think it needs a bit of iteration on it.
I think if you're rating them differently, the Pavlok, I would give a 3. The shot clock, whilst it has a great name, probably the best name on this list, I'd give a 0, because who wants to wake up with an electric shock every day?
See, well, anyway, moving on. All right, So there is a bonus one here that you haven't got. It's really short. Again, I don't think this went on sale or they've evolved it, but it's called the mood metric. It's basically a smart ring. It's a ring that you wear, and it's a mood ring. It works by reading energy from the reactions in your nervous system. It then relays the emotional information over Bluetooth to a smartphone app that chronicles all the different moods that you felt throughout the day. According to Mood Metric, people will be able to gain a greater understanding of what makes them stressed or unhappy and what calms them down. Look, I know football makes me stressed, right? And eating calms me down. So
yeah. Well, it's nonsense, isn't it? Because a ring won't tap into your nerve endings. It's absolute baloney. And I think, do you remember when there used to be those mood rings you could get, and it would be a little stone that would change colour? And that's all they've done there. Yeah. They've gone, that sold like hotcakes, and we're gonna put smart in front of it and sell billions of these.
That word again, isn't it?
It is. No, that is particularly stupid. That has minus 10 blokes from Blighty.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm taking blokes away.
He's created a new scale there. Yeah, it's like, do you remember you used to get like those from crackers and stuff, those plastic fish that you would put in, and it would
people
curl
would say,
up.
if it curls up, you're stressed. And it's like, no, if it touches your skin, it curls up.
Yeah, if it doesn't, you've stuck your hand in a freezer or something. Yeah, that is literally what it is. If I remember right, I saw the picture. It is a ring with a little USB-C port, and I think the colour of the ring changes. And it's like, look, if it's done stylishly, if it can be worn as a fashion accessory, fair enough. But do you need to know? You know what stresses you out.
Yeah, I agree. I still think it's complete nonsense. I think you'd be better off phoning a psychic medium hotline and they'll tell you what stresses you out. It's, no point to it. Like I said, minus 10 blokes for me.
Okay, so you've walked away with the Dyson AirZone then, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
So if they're listening, or if anyone is listening, works or knows anyone from Dyson?
If Dyson want to sponsor me with an AirZone, I will wear it sometime, maybe once out in public.
I would suggest sponsor this podcast, and then I'll let Joey have some stuff, some of the swag.
I'll have the swag. You can keep the money. How does that sound?
Okay.
So I like the Dyson, the Dyson Zone. The vacuum shoes didn't do it for me. The Bone Phone, like the technology, not into the product. Selfie toaster, nonsense. The Hush Me looks cool, pointless. I think what we're learning is technology these days is we have the good stuff. Just improve what we have already.
Yeah.
Don't bother building anything new.
Yeah, and not everything needs to be made smart.
Or does it?
Actually, the funny thing is, I just looked at the links I sent you. So for people to understand, the selfie toaster, if you look at the end of the URL, it's called Selfie Toaster Kitchen Gadgets Review Toasty Aberration. So it's like,
that glowing review.
Yeah. All right, Joey, that's it. I'm out of gadgets for you to review. I hope you've enjoyed that.
I had a great time on Smart Casting Views.
Casting Views, yeah. I have got some other ideas for you. I think we've got to get round the negotiating table to work those out.
Sounds good to me.
Before we go, I'm going to do that thing where I'm going to ask you to plug your pods, and you do have to plug your pods.
Okay. Listen to Game Club Pod if you want to, and don't if you don't. You'll find some stuff on there.
Yeah, listen to Game Club Pod and Two Blokes from Blighty. As I've said a couple of times, I've gone through your entire back catalogue now.
I really worry about your mental state when you sell me things like that.
I just think it's really, I think it's really enjoyable. And I was going to say to you actually at the start, Two Blokes now has been over a year, like as you said. So
yeah. When we started Game Club Pod, I recorded the first 4 episodes with my microphone backwards, so we've come a long way.
It didn't sound too that bad. That's the thing.
Yeah, I mean,
you just spoke really loud.
Yeah, just shouted. But no, there was a moment of realization before one of the recordings when Tim could see the logo facing the webcam on the laptop, and he was like, have you had it that way round the whole time? There was also an episode, the first ever, because every year we do a thing called the Last Chance Awards, and I forgot to plug the microphone in, and it just recorded from the laptop microphone.
Do you know what? I've done that, and it was with Josh, and it was with it was a first time guest. It was Adam from Decaying with the Boys. And I was so looking forward to having him on, and I hadn't realised this. I got my mic here in front of me. I had it all set up. What I hadn't known, I think I'd upgraded the plan on a recording website that we were using that had just introduced the fact you had to subscribe to a plan. I think by that it reset the defaults. Hadn't gone in and checked. It wasn't using my mic and it was using the laptop. And oh my word, I could have been at the bottom of a canyon the way I sounded. It's like,
I'm sure you sounded wonderful, no matter how echoey it was.
Oh, you are such a gent. Right, look, thank you very much for coming on. Yep, check out the Game Club Pod. Subscribe, share, like, give them a review, a positive one.
Well, whatever you want, whatever you want, doesn't matter.
Whatever you want. For me, you're listening to me, so you know where to get me. But if you want to appear on one of the episodes, or you've got an idea for the show, or you want to let Joey and myself know where we've gone wrong with rating some of these gadgets, search for Casting Views across all social media, or drop me a note at castingviewspod@gmail.com, and I will see you next week for another episode.
Bye.
2, 3, 4. If I want your opinion, I will give it to you. Come on, take what we got, 'cause you need it.